Welcome to Robotics and Automation News webinars, where you can be part of a global event without leaving your home or office. Attend our live webinars and communicate directly with influential professionals in your industry.
Hello, my name is Abdul Muntakim. I'm editor of Robotics and Automation News.com. In this interview, I speak to Zac Cooper, Director of Sales at ATLATL Software, which specialises in providing what's called a CPQ, or Configure, Price, Quote platform to the manufacturing industry. As the term suggests, CPQ enables manufacturers to configure a product, calculate the costs of all the parts, and get quotes for the entire build. Zac explains this in depth in the following presentation about the company, at the end of which I ask a few questions.
Good morning. My name is Zac Cooper. I am the Director of Sales for ATLATL Software. ATLATL Software is a manufacturing-specific configure price quote solution, and we offer next-generation configurators with visual 3D immersive technology. I've been with ATLATL Software for almost 3 years, joined the company as one of the first sales leaders, focused on business development, marketing, and creating the business case and the value for manufacturers for why they need to invest in visual configuration for their sales team, marketing teams, and most importantly, their customers. There's 3 pillars to the ATLATL Software business: speed, accuracy, and experience. We focus on these 3 pillars for our customers, specifically around the quote process: speed to quote, accurate quotes, and a great customer buying experience when evaluating their business and product offerings for their organization. When working with our customers, one of the very first priorities is identifying the business case and how they're going to achieve maximum ROI with the ATLATL visual solution. This is a quote from one of our customers confidently stating this will be game-changing for our organization. The problem that most of our customers deal with on a day-to-day basis is their sales and quoting process is too long. It's very engineering heavy, creating higher acquisition costs and lower margins. Responding to customer quotes is a multi-step process that takes time and leaves the customer waiting. And the competitive market is heating up. So differentiating from their competitors is a must to not only be the preferred supplier to buy from, but also the preferred supplier to sell for. For example, you can see in the workflow here, the multi-steps that need to be achieved in order for sales to quote a customer, only to hear from the customer that there needs to be a revision on the quote where they rinse and repeat that same process over and over again to get to a yes or no. This can be timely, it can be expensive, and it can prevent leveraging human capital and resources for maximum efficiency. The solution that ATLATL provides, ATLATL Visual, as you can see with the workflow, shortens your sales cycle, requires less resources to complete a sale, streamlines accuracies, and provides a better customer experience. What we've learned from our customers is when it comes to achieving maximum ROI, the business case typically focuses on increasing sales, driving at cost efficiencies, quoting with speed, accuracy, and differentiation, and again, providing that unmatchable customer experience. We do this with 2 different product offerings, ATLATL Visual and QuoteBook CPQ. ATLATL Visual can be embedded on a manufacturer's website, it can be embedded in a manufacturer's dealer portal, or it can be deployed specifically to their dealer reps and their dealer businesses for shoulder-to-shoulder selling, visually configuring the OEM's product with the end consumer, increasing confidence and loyalty in the quote and for the brand. What is ATLATL Visual? It's visual configuration software that allows sales reps and their customers to select, configure products using 3D models through a simple touch, tap, and drag methodology. How does it work? The 3D models are going to represent the actual OEM product. It's going to provide a step-guided, menu-driven configuration process, ensuring accuracy driven by the manufacturer's engineering rules that helps the user quickly and easily complete the configuration. Why is it an impactful? Speed, accuracy, and experience. Faster configurations and less needed support resources during the process. Visually confirming the product selection eliminates order error. And faster configuration means less wasted time. Visual confirmation means greater trust and innovative product tools that can point to the manufacturer's differentiation. All of these help create the ROI for faster engagements from lead to opportunities and better experiences from lead to purchase order conversion. And who's it for? B2B companies who sell base plus option type products where the base is consistent, but the options are customizable to the customer's needs. It can also be leveraged by B2B companies who sell products that require complex buying processes that are prone to inaccuracy and timely quotes. Quotebook CPQ is for manufacturers who are not quite ready to make the investment in visual, but still need a configure price quote solution to configure single, multiple, or sets of products, price those products using different type of pricing strategies dependent on the channel, i.e. the dealer sales rep or the customer, as well as quote functionality that needs to be accurate, needs to be fast, and it needs to easily be able to be revised for purchase order conversions. So what is it? It's a configure price quote software that allows sales reps to configure a customer's product that needs to produce a quote during the sales process. Similar to ATLATL Visual, it is also a step-guided, menu-driven configuration process driven by the manufacturer's engineering rules, logic, and calculation, and formats completed quotes with bill of materials, pricing, and applicable sales, marketing, and product drawings. So why is it impactful? Speed, accuracy, and experience, all playing a part to generate the customer's ROI for faster engagements from lead to opportunity, and accurate configurations yield downstream efficiencies, alleviating engineers from the process, decreasing the acquisition costs, increasing the margin, and most importantly, enabling faster product delivery to the end consumer. It's a great fit for B2B companies who sell those base plus option type of products, as well as manufacturers who require complex buying processes that are prone to inaccuracies. So where does ATLATL sit in your IT ecosystem? Most manufacturers have invested in some type of CRM, sales and marketing automation software, an ERP, a financial accounting, enterprise resource planning platform, as well as CAD, whether that's 2D or 3D environments. Manufacturers are going through a digital transformation, having to enable B2B digital sales models. Commerce platforms like e-commerce are being widely adopted for B2B digital selling. ATLATL can easily embed with your commerce platform for a B2B consumer or dealer-facing configure price quote solution. It can also be interfaced or integrated with your CRM, ERP, or CAD environment. ATLATL Visual is very flexible and can fit into your business specifically to where you're looking to add value, increase those downstream efficiencies, and maximize ROI with configure price quote software. Most customers want to know, well, how quickly can I buy it? How quickly can I implement it? And how quickly can I go live on it? Our implementation process takes 4 stages. For QuoteBook CPQ, typically about 3 to 4 months. For ATLATL Visual, typically 4 to 6 months. You can see all of the actions that need to be completed during the implementation process. ATLATL's implementation team are industry experts, both in manufacturing and software, and are going to provide significant value adds, free consultative approaches for helping manufacturers prepare for configure, price, quote, and visual configuration. And it's going to require the manufacturer's team to work with the ATLATL implementation team to have operational success when implementing the ATLATL software suite. Just a couple specifics of the amount of time. As you can see, there's multiple stakeholders involved, typically a handful of hours for each stage of implementation. ATLATL also offers all the customer training, and we can do this in multiple different methodologies, but we believe our software is of greatest value when it's being adopted successfully by the manufacturer's business ecosystem across their direct and indirect stakeholders. ATLATL software has found success in train the trainer type of processes. This would mean ATLATL software is going to train one of the manufacturer's stakeholders to be the trainer for the manufacturer's business, delivering our solution with speed and successful adoption. There's multiple different training milestones, but most importantly, you can see here that ATLATL software is a high performer across the analyst market, and our users love us. We provide white glove training. Our biggest achievement is when our customers are using and successfully quoting with our technology. Thank you for taking the time to learn about ATLATL software. Any questions from the group?
Thank you very much, Zac. It was a very interesting presentation. The area is quite new to me, CPQ. So I was wondering if you could give me a broader view of the market in terms of, I mean, you started off saying that it saves a lot of time. The traditional way of finding information and quotes and parts and things like that is very time consuming, and your software enables not only to save time, but also to be more flexible in the customization thereafter. When were you established, and what kind of thing have you sort of superseded? What kind of a culture, if you like, of this kind of activity was going on before? I imagine most companies have now moved to using ERPs and CRMs and CAD and so on. But the whole transition period, it seems like yours is another stage beyond that, if you like, or on top of that. But give us an overview of the market with some of the points that I've made in mind.
Absolutely, and you are very correct. Most manufacturers have invested in some type of sales marketing automation tool and enterprise resource planning technology. The history of ATLATL software started in 2013, 2014, where a manufacturer was using CRM and ERP, but they still had gaps when it came to successfully quoting the end consumer. The manufacturer went to market with engineer-to-order safety platforms. The bottleneck in their quoting process is a sales rep required the assistance of an engineer to successfully quote the safety platforms to their customer. On average, it took about 4 to 6 weeks to respond to a quote request, and that meant that the engineer literally had to go on site to evaluate the environment, make sure that the product dependency behaviors would align to the environmental dependency behaviors so that the safety platform could accurately be implemented for the customer's need. That manufacturer invested in visual configuration, visual configure price quote technology, so that the sales rep could create a 3D immersive environment of the customer's site, use the self-guided engineering rule-driven workflow to visually configure that safety platform shoulder to shoulder with the customer, allow the customer to participate in the design process, and generate an accurate bill of materials and quote in less than 30 minutes. That meant for that manufacturer, their sales and quoting process decreased from 4 to 6 weeks to 30 minutes. The ROI on the investment skyrocketed. And that is how ATLATL Software began. We're rooted in manufacturing and we're built by manufacturers for manufacturers. But the reality is that configure price quote solutions have been in manufacturing for many years. Typically, they're Excel-driven type of workflows or internal homegrown configurator solutions. The pain with these Excel-driven worksheets or homegrown solutions is typically only one person knows how to manage it, and that person's an engineer. And because it's not designed for a sales rep with extremely user-friendly technology, sales reps have trouble adopting it. So manufacturers have made these investments, but unable to achieve ROI because it's a quick fix, a Band-Aid for their quoting process. That's why ATLATL suggests to manufacturers to invest with an ATLATL type of solution so that a vendor can deploy a cloud-based web application that can be utilized across each individual user, can be maintained by a vendor like ATLATL Software, and can enable the manufacturer to achieve ROI with the solution by automating that Excel-driven workflow or bringing greater visibility to the homegrown solution. For manufacturers of complex, spatially oriented products, traditional configure price quote solution are not always the best fit. They need a 3D product configurator to configure and design systems and layouts in space, accounting for those product and environmental dependencies behaviors that I touched on with our conception story in the safety platform, to accurately configure price quote in a visual 3D environment their most complex spatially oriented products.
Thanks for that. It's actually the CAD part of it, the modeler or 3D modeler or configurator, the visual, it's because it's probably because it's visual, it seems the most impressive and interesting part, because well, it's surprising that that amount of power is available in the software to be able to visually configure things. And I'll probably ask again about it later, but I was wondering about the growth you said there when you were established, and it looks like you're quite successful. I can see in the picture that you've got quite a lot of people working for you. I assume they're all employees. Can you share some numbers about how you've progressed since you've started, how many employees you've got now, and any revenue or any kind of thing, any numbers that you can share without sort of breaking any confidentiality rules and so on?
Absolutely. I'm going to focus the conversation on our workforce and our customer base versus revenue. But the story started in 2013, 2014 with one customer and one user. In less than 5 years, the ATLATL team has grown from a small group of 3 to 5 people to north of 60 employees. Our customer base has grown from 1 to over 25 manufacturers with thousands of dealer sales reps using our technology every day. What's most exciting for ATLATL is when the business was started in 2013, 2014, visual configuration did not exist, and the market did not exist to sell to. I like to break down the market into 4 buckets. In 2016, the market was broken down by the early innovators and adopters at the global manufacturing level, about 5%. The next bucket were the manufacturers who were interested in learning about the technology, which was about 20%. The other 50% were manufacturers who were starting to invest in automated technology like CPQ, but they weren't quite ready to learn about visual yet. It was too new and too much of a change. The final 25% had no idea what this software was. Fast forward to 2019, the early adopters and innovators is about 25% of the market. About 30% of the market are people raising their hands saying they're ready to learn more and they want to invest. About 30% of the market are actively researching and engaging with vendors to understand the impacts of visual configuration. And the last 15-20% are the folks who still don't know the technologies out there. I share this to show the growth of the visual configuration market, but also how ATLATL had to help create this market and this technology for manufacturers. And there's still evergreen territory to achieve success within manufacturing.
Okay, you've mentioned some numbers about number of customers and the way it works. I guess I think you call them distributors or something. But I was wondering what kind of sectors they come from. Is there a pattern to it? Are they from the automotive sector or I don't know, agriculture or something? Or construction. I think I saw in the presentation that you made it was a construction machine of some sort. But is there a pattern? What kind of what kind of sectors do you see using you more, or have you developed a better relationship with?
Great question. So something you touched on earlier was most manufacturers have invested in CRM, ERP, maybe e-commerce. The reality is that CRM, marketing automation, and e-commerce are only solutions for part of manufacturers' products. They're great for tracking sales, tracking quotes, and buying digitally for commodity type of product solutions from a manufacturer to a consumer. I can easily sell nuts and bolts through e-commerce. The problem is for products that require configuration capability or engineering customizations. That is where CPQ, and more specifically visual CPQ, fill the gap in digitally enabled B2B sales models. E-commerce is for your commodity transactional sales. CPQ, configure price quote, is for your base plus options type of products, if you think of a construction machinery. Visual CPQ is for those engineered, customized products and solutions that require spatial awareness in the configuration process. Think of a conveyor system layout. You need to visually be able to account for space when you're visually laying out a conveyor in a configuration process. In terms of the manufacturers that are a great fit for CPQ and visual, CPQ is a great fit for any B2B manufacturer who has those configurable product options. So for a construction machinery OEM, they can sell replacement parts through their e-commerce. They can sell their base model plus option type of machinery through CPQ, but any of their machinery that has customizations, maybe a consumer wants to put a toolbox on a mini excavator or a specialty vehicle. That's where visual CPQ can account for those engineering or customization adds in the configuration process. The industries of manufacturing that are a great fit for CPQ and visual are heavy machinery like construction or agricultural, handling, ranging from pallet racks, conveyors, mezzanines to robotics, industrial automation like custom machinery for packaging, food or material processing, as well as CNC machines, automated welding cells, and robotics again. Specialty vehicles like work trucks, industrial trailers, And I believe that all of the action that manufacturers are taking on configuration technology is being driven by big auto. Today, I can go to BMW.com and visually configure my BMW. But if I go to my agricultural machinery supplier, I can't visually configure my ag machine on that website. I can't go and see the agricultural machinery distributor dealer and have my machine visually configured shoulder to shoulder on demand with a proposal. So there's gaps in the market that CPQ and visual fill the solution for manufacturers, and the range of manufacturing that's a good fit for these type of solutions is focused on the product configuration capabilities. But hopefully that provides some examples and context.
Yeah, it does. It's very interesting that you mentioned cars, because I remember many years ago reading that they were developing platforms which could be global, in the sense that many different factories of theirs would start with a base, as you describe it, and then customize according to the local market. And a similar kind of thing is happening in this context. And I've heard the word, phrase, mass customization. And up until now, I've been thinking of it from the customer's or consumer's point of view, where somebody can go to a website and decide they want their trainers to have certain features, you know, and not other features, and whether it's trainers or any kind of consumer product. But this conversation that we're having is more about B2B, where engineers are the ones who are customizing things, which then get probably sold in large quantities. So that's a very interesting aspect of mass customization. What would you say about mass customization? Is it the B2B sector? It looks to me like the B2B sector is where it's going to really take off, expand, and become established, because it's the engineers and the people who know how to do things are the ones who are going to be using it, and maybe later on consumers are going to have the opportunity to customize more and more products. What do you think of how things are going to go in mass customization?
Yeah, I think you hit on it with big auto. So B2B manufacturers want to offer that same customer experience, which is a huge differentiator for the market. Also expands your global reach when you can enable a consumer to visually configure heavy machinery or material handling equipment on the website, or enable a dealer to do it shoulder to shoulder with their consumer. It's alleviating the engineer from the process. So you mentioned CAD earlier in the conversation. A great analogy is you're putting a 3D CAD tool in the customer or sales rep's pocket that's extremely user-friendly, and it's designed for a sales rep or a customer, not an engineer. Let CAD be the engineering tool. Let CPQ, or visual CPQ, be your sales and customer tool. In terms of customizations, I think we touched on big auto. I'd also like to talk about retail. Amazon is driving the call to action for e-commerce and B2B manufacturing. If you look at a company like Wayfair.com, which is a furniture wholesaler, I can go to Wayfair.com and visually customize, visually configure my furniture specifically to my request and needs. It's the same conversation for B2B manufacturing, and enable the consumer to visually configure and customize their workbench in a B2B type of customer experience. So I think we're seeing a lot of these trends in other industries. They're now being adopted in B2B manufacturing for speed, accuracy, and customer experiences.
Right, and let's go back to the, talk a bit about the CAD, computer-aided design software. I find it fascinating. I wish I could use it better. I've had a few goes at various CAD programs like Onshape, which is an online CAD. I found that very interesting because the idea of putting what used to be fairly computer memory hungry applications online and being able to use it fairly efficiently is quite surprising to me. And now I noticed that you've got something similar. Um, I don't know, how long did it take to set up software like that? And it looks really complicated in the sense of setting it up. From the user's point of view, obviously it makes things easier. But give us an insight into how the company set something like that up. Does it need constant maintenance and updating? And how many people do the modeling? And how many people do the coding? I mean, give us an insight into some of the highlights of from the back office kind of a view.
Yeah, great question. And it really starts with the manufacturer's readiness. So for visual, I'm going to speak specifically to ATLATL Visual. For manufacturers who've already invested in 3D CAD environments like Onshape, which is a strategic partner of ATLATL Software, SolidWorks or Inventor, and they already have 3D CAD assets of their products, the lift to ATLATL Visual is very light. For manufacturers who have not invested in 3D CAD and do not have those 3D CAD assets ready, the lift to ATLATL Visual is a little heavier. ATLATL Visual is not a CAD tool. It's a configure price quote solution that offers 3D product configurations. We start with the CAD environment to understand the customer's readiness to implement ATLATL Visual. We take those CAD models and we ingest them into our configuration platform that produces the 3D modeling for configuration. The beauty of ATLATL Visual is ATLATL Software's engineering teams do all the heavy lifting for the OEM. Typically takes about 4 to 6 months to implement ATLATL Visual and go live. But for manufacturers who have the internal teams to maintain the visual configurator, we can offer the administrative tools so that way they can ingest 3D models, make rule and product changes and price changes in a self-service fashion. Not all manufacturers are ready to be able to drive their visual configurator without vendor assistance, which is why ATLATL Software offers all of those maintenance values to our customers so we can maintain the visual configurator and they can sell with our technology.
Right, and just lastly, what targets do you have at ATLATL going forward in the next year or two or beyond in terms of anything really, where business grows, technology, implementation, perhaps new kind of markets and new services you want to introduce? Give us an overview of where you're going.
Absolutely. I'll start by saying ATLATL Software is about to have our best fiscal quarter in company history, Q2 2019, which I think speaks to the growth of the visual configuration market in manufacturing. Our phones are ringing off the hook, which is a great sign for our business. So our business growth has full expectations to skyrocket over the next 2-3 years, especially as manufacturing continues to grow as well. In terms of where our team's focusing our innovation, augmented reality. So for our customers, their customer can visually configure a forklift on the manufacturer's website. They can easily generate a cost proposal with an augmented reality marker where they can see their exact visual configuration in an augmented reality experience in their warehouse to make sure that that forklift can move up and down the aisles successfully, accounting for the space in between any of the other products or environmental dependencies in that warehouse. And they can do all of that in real time. So we're helping manufacturers offer their customers the experience where they can visually configure a product on a website or on a mobile device with a distributor dealer, then see that product in real time through augmented reality in their facility, at their work site, or in their warehouse. ATLATL's Config to AR is where we're focusing our innovations for manufacturers.
Great, thank you. Just one question I wanted to ask and kind of forgot actually. I know you sort of showed a slide in which ATLATL software sort of fits in with CRM, ERP, and CAD. CRM, most people will know this, but I always like to sort of give a brief explanation. CRM, customer relations management software, is where you kind of keep a customer contacts and details. The ERP, enterprise resource planning, is more about the supply of your tool parts and materials, and CAD, obviously we talked about computer-aided design. Can your software replace those things? Because there seems to be a lot of software needed to run a business, a manufacturing business. I know it's complicated, manufacturing is difficult, as everybody keeps saying, but is it possible to simplify a bit more, maybe use less software?
Great question. ATLATL Software will not replace your enterprise resource planning, your ERP, or your computer-aided design softwares like CAD. They are pivotal in the configuration process because we can easily interface ATLATL Software's platform with your ERP and CAD environment so that when a quote is ready to be converted to a purchase order, we can automate the order entry. We can also pull live pricing and product rules directly from ERP into the configuration platform. ATLATL Software can also interface with your 3D CAD environment. So when that quote is closed won and being interfaced for order entry to the ERP, we can also interface the 3D configuration directly with your 3D CAD environment, closing the loop from sales to shop floor. CRM is very much a passive back office sales tool that can be interfaced with ATLATL Software's platform for real-time customer relationship management software data, real-time customer relationship management data to be pushed and pulled from the configuration platform so that you're quoting the right customer with all the customer history, and you can send that quote back to the CRM. But with our QuoteBooks Cloud, we can also replace your CRM, and we can house all that customer opportunity and quote data in our platform.
Right, that's kind of what I was getting at, whether ATLATL can essentially be a one-stop shop for a company. But anyway,
it absolutely can. I'm working with a material handling manufacturer right now who hasn't invested in CRM yet. So for them, it's a huge IT cost savings to invest in our platform, QuoteBooks and ATLATL Visual. They can leverage QuoteBooks as a light CRM and quote management software, and ATLATL Visual as their front-facing customer and sales tool.
Right. Okay, Zac. Well, thank you very much for your time. If there's something that you want to say that I didn't ask about, please feel free.
No, I think we covered it. The last thing I'll close with is two key themes I'm seeing in the market. The first theme is that CRM and e-commerce are only a great fit for parts of your products. The gap in the market is with visual commerce and visual configuration. It's the only way to provide a personalized customer buying journey with speed, accuracy, and the unmatched experience to beat your competition and to differentiate from the market.
Okay, thank you very much, Zac.
Send us an email at sales@roboticsandautomationnews.com to register for one of our many upcoming webinars. And if you'd like us to host your webinar, we have a range of options, including long-term lead generation packages and marketing campaigns. We look forward to hearing from you soon.